Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I'm Voice 1, and I'll be coming at this from the architect's perspective. And I'm Voice 2, bringing you the admin's point of view. So today, we're taking you on a guided tour of the command center. Our mission? To completely demystify how you actually manage the massive explosion of AI agents inside your Microsoft 365 environment. And the kicker? Doing it without sacrificing a single ounce of data security. Exactly. Look, we're right in the middle of a fundamental shift in how work gets done. But you can't just let a bunch of autonomous bots run wild in your tenant. You absolutely need structure. You need architectural governance.
Let's take a quick look at our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the new agent landscape. Second, the Copilot control system. Third, securing SharePoint content. Fourth is the Power Platform Admin Center. And finally, managing consumption and costs.
Section 1. The new agent landscape.
Okay, so establishing an airtight architectural boundary. That always starts with visibility. Before we can even talk about locking things down, we really need to understand exactly who is building these agents inside your tenant in the first place and what tools they're using to do it. Think of it as mapping out the entire spectrum of agents and controls. Up top, you've got distinct user categories, end users, makers, and your centralized IT catalog. And branching out below them are the specific tools they use, along with the foundational IT controls that govern them. We're talking everything from Copilot controls all the way down to Power Platform environments. It essentially gives you a perfect bird's-eye view of who is doing exactly what.
Now, this ecosystem essentially breaks down into three specific tiers of creators. At the baseline, you've got your end users. These folks are using super intuitive, no-code tools like SharePoint and Agent Builder to whip up basic, reusable Copilot templates. Then, you step up a level to the makers. They're using Copilot Studio to build autonomous agents that actually have advanced triggers and external connections. And finally, sitting at the top tier, we have the developers. They're writing pro code using tools like Azure AI Foundry and VS Code, building fully customized orchestrations that IT absolutely has to manage centrally.
So how do you wrap a secure tenant boundary grid around those three totally diverse groups of creators? You need three distinct control layers. First up are tool controls. These govern functionality and are mostly handled right inside the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Admin Centers, or MAC and PPAC. Second, you have content controls. This is all about data security, heavily relying on Microsoft Purview and SharePoint Advanced Management to govern who accesses what. And third is agent management, which is exactly how you oversee the actual activity in the wild, utilizing staged rollouts and detailed Mac usage reports.
Section 2. The Copilot control system.
So now that we know who's building agents and what control layers we need, let's step into the central command hub itself, the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, or MAC, and the broader Copilot control system. This brings up a massive strategic challenge. I mean, anyone managing a tenant right now is asking themselves, how do we safely approve and manage custom agents in our IT catalog? Because we absolutely have to prevent unauthorized, rogue agents from executing custom actions that could expose our systems.
And the answer to that challenge? Integrated apps administration. Think of this as your organization's policy lens, or really a bouncer at the door. Whenever an agent is submitted, this MAC functionality pulls in all the comprehensive metadata. It tells you exactly what the agent does, what data sources it touches, and every single custom action it's capable of invoking. It puts all of that right in front of the administrator, so they can thoroughly scrutinize the agent before it ever deploys. This is what lets you make fully informed, confident, allow or block decisions.
What's genuinely fascinating here is the rigorous permission tree an agent has to actually survive just to get into your environment. Step 1 is publisher attestation, where the developer legally self-attests to their authenticity and security standards. Step 2 is Microsoft 365 certification, which is Microsoft's own intensive compliance and security evaluation. Step 3, the agent finally makes an appearance in your Mac Integrated Apps centralized inventory. And Step 4, you, the admin, evaluate that metadata and take the final action to allow or block it. So yeah, it is a highly controlled pipeline.
Section 3. Securing SharePoint content.
All right, we've secured the application pipeline. But what about the actual data those applications are reading? This right here is the classic security nightmare. Literally, the question that keeps admins awake at night. How do we stop a simple end-user SharePoint agent from going rogue, searching globally, pulling up confidential HR data or executive financials, and exposing it to someone who shouldn't see it? Well, this is exactly where SharePoint Advanced Management, or SAM, steps in as your ultimate safeguard.
SAM gives you control at the exact source of the data. You can roll out restricted content discovery policies which effectively cloak an entire site. It hides highly sensitive content from global searches and completely stops Copilot from indexing it. You can also enforce strict site sharing restrictions and block download policies. You're basically dropping a heavy vault door right in front of your most sensitive environments.
But honestly, here is the absolute most foundational rule, and we really can't stress this enough. By default, SharePoint agents can only access content or update data that the current user already has access to. The agent operates strictly within the user's existing, robust, hierarchical permissions. It never, ever bypasses the user's secure perimeter. It's incredibly simple. If the user can't read that confidential HR file, their agent definitely can't read it either.
Section 4. Power Platform Admin Center.
Okay, so that handles the end users working in SharePoint. Let's shift gears over to the Power Platform Admin Center, or PPAC. This is where IT oversees those makers we talked about earlier, the users building those really advanced autonomous bots inside Copilot Studio. Right, and when makers are building in Copilot Studio, we're leaning hard into some deep integrations. If we look at Microsoft's own guidance, it explicitly states, Microsoft Copilot Studio agents adhere to organizational content governance through Microsoft Purview, sensitivity labels, data protection policies, and data masking. The crucial takeaway here is that Copilot Studio seamlessly talks to Purview. If you slap a sensitivity label on a document, the agent absolutely respects it. If you have data masking enabled for something like social security numbers, the agent automatically masks them. The integration is completely baked in. And within the Power Platform itself, you manage your makers using a really structured environment controls ledger. You keep work isolated by utilizing different environment types, so keeping a developer sandbox totally separate from a production or trial environment. Then you layer in security controls like data loss prevention, or DLP, which literally stops an agent from accidentally passing internal data out to a third-party connector. You also control Dataverse access settings, monitor storage capacity, and govern your deployment via application lifecycle management and version control. You're ensuring everything stays safely contained in a sandbox before it ever has the chance to hit production.
Section 5. Managing Consumption and Costs.
Let's shift over to our final operational pillar. You've locked down the data, and you've governed your creators. Now, you need to track agent health, monitor platform telemetry, and most importantly, keep your budget totally predictable. The Microsoft 365 Admin Center gives you these incredible usage reports. You can see exactly where and how agents are being consumed. Say 45% of usage is happening on desktop platforms, 40% on the web interface, and 15% on the mobile app. Tracking this kind of engagement, duration, and distribution is absolutely crucial. It's how you spot the underused agents that should just be retired, and how you justify pouring more resources into the agents that are actually driving massive productivity.
And for absolute real-time security telemetry, you tie everything right into Microsoft Sentinel. Sentinel is your cloud-native SIAM platform, your centralized security information and event management hub. It gives administrators this proactive, bird's-eye view across the entire enterprise. You can configure customized alerts to instantly intercept any suspicious agent activities, which guarantees that your security posture is always one step ahead of any potential threats.
Let's quickly talk about licensing and access because the system is smartly split into two distinct tiers. First, you have free functionality. This gives users web-grounded answers and simple Q&A agents. But here's the key. It completely blocks access to your internal organizational M365 data. Then you have premium functionality. This is unlocked via a Copilot license or a metered plan, and it grants that secure, connected access directly to your tenant data. This separation is honestly brilliant because it allows admins to pilot Copilot broadly across the company using the free tier while keeping the rollout of highly sensitive, data-connected agents tightly restricted.
And specifically for that premium tier, you've got some very strategic financial governance controls. You can opt for prepaid user licenses if you want a totally predictable cost structure for a set capacity, or you can go with metered consumption, which is a flexible pay-as-you-go model for varying needs. This setup ensures that businesses can align their expenses perfectly with actual real-world usage without getting locked into massive, restrictive yearly commitments.
So when you put all of these pieces together, complete architectural governance is actually achieved. By combining the Microsoft 365 Admin Center for inventory and usage, the Power Platform Admin Center to lock down maker environments, SharePoint Advanced Management for that crucial site-level protection, and Purview for deep data compliance, IT teams can build a flawless, truly secure boundary around all corporate AI adoption.
Which leaves us with one final incredibly important thought for you to take back to your team. As these custom AI agents rapidly multiply inside your Microsoft 365 tenant day after day, you really have a choice to make. Is your organization building an unmanaged Wild West, or are you utilizing these tools to build a perfectly governed Fort Knox? The controls are right there waiting for you. It is entirely up to you to implement them. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer, and happy governing!